I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I stand. I would like to extend that acknowledgement to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders who may be watching today or in the future. Sovereignty was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. My name is Miss Cairo. My pronouns are she, her, and this is the 5th edition of Conversations with Miss Cairo. I am a light brown-skinned woman with a brunette afro. I'm wearing some black-rimmed cat eye glasses. I have some earphones in, and I'm wearing a red kaftani thing, which I made myself. Which is red with speckled cream and browns on it. I'm sitting on a green chair with some pink roses on it. There's a beige curtain behind me, a fireplace behind me with dark brown bricks, and there's a fern and a mirror behind me. So before we begin this journey, I just want us to share a moment of rest and relaxation. So we're just going to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, and out for 5, and just do that a couple of times, just to reconnect with ourselves and each other. So in for 5, hold, and out for 5. In. Hold. And out. And once more. Hold. And breathe out. I am so exhausted. I feel very rested this week, surprisingly. But my body is very, very tired. I think here in Melbourne, the pollen count is rising high, which is really fun for us asthmatics. But my eyes are itchy, my skin is itchy, but it's absolutely okay. I've been doing some good mental health work this week. Or not good, not bad. Just I've been doing some intensified mental health work this week. Been trying to jump back on all of my self-care routines. I've cooked a couple of times this week, which I haven't probably for the last month, which my poor boyfriend has been doing it this whole time. A little shout out to my boyfriend. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Greg Dennis. I love you. As always today, if you want to comment, feel free. I get to see the comments and we can have a little conversation through the comment section. You can do that on YouTube and you can do that on Facebook. If you've got any questions for myself or my guest today, ask away. How am I feeling? Apart from exhausted, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very good. I've been very productive this week, getting myself organised. The people at Cabaret have got quite a few shows that we are producing and festivals we're producing. So there's been a lot of organisational work. The last time I did a production was back in 2000, I can't remember, and it was in this small bar in Knightsbridge in London. I had 2 people come to it, so I have a massive fear of being a producer or producing shows. But I feel very excited about this run because there's an amazing team of us like producing these things together. I'm a queen of a spreadsheet now. Like, as I said last week, I love a spreadsheet. I love my formulas. So it's just been nice to kind of get back on my organizational techniques. But also as well, bringing that back into my life. Like, as I said about cooking, that's on my list to kind of increase my cooking this week and doing a bit more cleaning and tidying around the house. Getting back to those base needs self-care things. Yeah, I'm doing good. We're gonna have a picnic in the park today. It's going to be really, really cute. But we're going to be socially distant and within our 2-hour time frame. So I'm excited for that. Let me know what you're going to get up to today. Let me know what you're going to be getting up to today. If you're going to go for a walk or, catch up with friends from a distance, or if you're going to have a bath, or if you're going to do something kind to yourself, or just do nothing at all. Tell me. So I'm going to bring in our next guest, this week's guest. I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. With a diploma in screen acting from the Film and Television Institute and a BFA in music theatre from VCA, Kaori has appeared in as a series regular on Neighbours and alongside Nazeem Hussain on his comedy skit show Orange is the New Brown. I clearly can't read today either. It's probably because I took my glasses off. Hang on, that's better. Nazeem Hussain on his comedy skit show Orange is the New Brown. Most recently, Kaori was part of the original Australian cast of Lazarus, playing the role of Maemi, presented by the production company. Kaori is also one of the members of the People of Cabaret, and I have had the pleasure of working with her for the last couple of months, and she is an absolute joy in this world. So normally on stage, I would get people to whoop, holler and cheer, but I'm not on stage. I'm in my living room, as are you, or your kitchens or your balconies. So from wherever you are, whoop, holler and cheer as we introduce our next guest, Kaori Maeda-Judge.
Hello. Hi. I was just sitting here like, oh, stop.
It's so much better when I actually have my glasses on as well and I could see.
It does help. I think between you and I this morning, it's going to be a lot of stumbling around.
You're obviously in Perth.
Yes, I'm in Perth on Wujak Noongar country this morning. Yeah.
So what time is it?
2 hours, 3 hours behind. 8 a.m.
Well, thank you for waking up so early for this.
You're so welcome.
So I know how to say your name, but just for the purpose of our guests, how do you like your name being pronounced?
Good question. I don't get this asked very much. A lot of people ask me, is it right or wrong? No, how are you saying it? Tell me. And I'm like, well, it's not an English name, so there's no right or wrong here. I honestly don't mind. Kaori or Kari is a bit easier for English speakers, as long as it's not Kaori or Corey or Kira. yeah. As long as it's not too far removed and somewhere in the realm, I really don't mind. But it gets frustrating when people are like, yeah, but what's the right way? And I'm like, well, there is no right way in English. And trust me, you can't pronounce it in Japanese. So
Wait, would you mind saying it in Japanese? I'd be interested to hear that.
Yeah, my name in Japanese, Kaori Maeda-Judge.
That's so beautiful. Oh my God.
I mean, people can pronounce it, but it's just, it's a lot of like repetition and let's go through it a few times. And
well, I mean, I've known you for like 2 months now, and I have such a fear of saying your name because I've got it in my head being like, oh my God, I'm saying it right or wrong. When like
everyone does, don't worry.
But you put it beautifully about like, there are several ways of saying it. Especially, I find it difficult as someone from Britain trying to then pronounce Australian names, even like Australian names which are like non-English speaking names, because I'm used to hearing it with an accent, and then I feel like, oh, am I just taking the piss out of the Australian accent now? I don't know what I'm doing.
There's certain words that I learnt in English from my mum, who has a very thick accent, and I've grown up saying wrong, thinking that that's how you say it. Like the word Murphy's Law, like that thing. I always thought it was Mafia's Law because that's how my mum was saying it. And then when someone was like, it's Murphy's Law, I was like, what? Who's Murphy?
But there's something in there, like that's not to say that you were saying it wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like that was your absolute truth, and that's what you grew up to know better. It's like that colonialist aspect, perspective of what how we should be saying words. Like English is an evolving language. I find it really interesting. In England, there's a place called Newcastle, the original Newcastle. And I think in a 30-mile or like a 50-mile radius or something, there is 30 accent shifts.
Wow.
Yeah, like I think that's like the whole of Australia, but like in a small thing. So yeah, I'm always interested about accents. Like people can't even say my name, and that really irritates me because I'm like, it's the capital of Egypt. Like, what?
Come on.
But it's funny. I get Cario. I don't understand what it is.
Yeah, you know what that is though. That's when people just kind of like look at it, panic, and don't take the time to actually, and they just like spit it out. Because that happens with my name a lot. Like people I can see it. My favorite thing is when a role is being called, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I sit back and I watch them get up to my name, and you can always tell when they get up to my name because they just go, duh. They don't even want to try it. But it's just panic because another thing I say to people is like it's the word Maori but with a K in the front instead of an M, and then people relax and go, oh, I know that word, okay, I can do that.
But the funny thing is though, it's said as if it's spelt Kaori.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are people so dumb? God. Why are people so racist?
Fear of getting it wrong.
Well, I'm glad that we've cleared up that discrepancy. And your pronouns are she, her as well, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. I always say that our names and our genders can change on a daily basis. So I think we should never presume that we know someone as a constant.
Yeah.
So you and I have been working together intensely for the last month, especially.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into the bullcrap behind all of that. But I just want to say it's been an absolute honor, like checking in with you, like having conversations, changing the world alongside you. It's been fun. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, tired, like we've both discussed, we're pretty tired, but I feel like the bulk of the activism kind of movement is done for now for us. So once that was kind of finished, I did feel a bit of a weight lift off my shoulders, like, okay, now it's all out there. Now it's just about everyone else kind of taking the initiative to educate and do the work, but we've done what we need to do. So I'm going to go have a nap. But yeah, like tired but like I feel like good things are happening. So positive vibes and looking positively towards the future and, always striving towards that. But yeah, it was a weird roller coaster, wasn't it? It was very up and down and it was very emotionally exhausting. Like I think, yeah, from day to day for all of us who are working on all of that stuff was like, all right, we've got something good happening. Oh, today's not a good day and we've got some bad news. Oh, today we've got some good news. Like it was so up and down. I was so emotionally drained. But yeah, I think this past week I've been trying to like get back into my regular schedule and get back into things that I like doing outside of anything to do with the performing arts, which is nice. But I think it was a bit clunky. I think that really took over all of our lives for a while there. Understandably, it's obviously impacts us so literally. It's our lived lives and experiences. So yeah, I think I had a go.
Oh no, it's your time.
I was just going to say, like, I had a few of my friends contact me and be like, you must be so tired. I hope you're taking care of yourself. And which is so valid. And like, I thanked those friends for looking out for me. But at the same time, I was like, I can't really take a rest because like, it directly impacts us. And, there will be a time to take a rest at the end of all of this. But like, yeah, it's not really an option to take a rest right now. Like you just got to do it. Otherwise, I mean, for me, what was in front of me was like, well, I could take a rest and stop. But that means that I stop fighting for equal rights for myself. Like at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I want a better world for myself. It's very selfish. But yeah, so I was like, well, I want equal chances and opportunities. So I'm going to have to keep fighting for now.
But it's one of those things, like when you're fighting for your equal rights, you're also fighting for everyone else's, because it's not just about your specific culture or your specific identity. It's about people changing their perceptions on their perspective. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think it's really it's what the work that we have to do constantly, it never ends. They're called microaggressions for a reason. We're continually facing these things on a daily. Even this week I've had a great week, but I've had lessons with industry professionals, which I came away feeling really exhausted from, as a trans woman, having to navigate some kind of difficult language being used. So it never stops. But when these situations arise, I think there's a twofold thing. We all are called to action in that moment, and then we're all the community is together again. We have a common enemy to fight against, and then we're sharing our stories of trauma and pain and and it's it's so beautiful and healing to be in those spaces, but it's so exhausting because you just sit there going, God, is this my narrative? Is this what it is? At least when racism is happening just on a daily occurrence, just a little bit, it's okay, cool, I can manage that just about. But when it all happens and rears its ugly head together, it's so hard to compartmentalize. And I think people forget that. It's just just get off Facebook, just do this. Well, it's Facebook is my only form of connecting with people at the moment. It's also my job. It's also people are well, just unfollow the tags or whatever. It's I don't choose to look out for this stuff. This stuff presents itself to me. But the big thing that I've kind of been realizing is that to a point, I can decide to engage or disengage with it. But even then, you can't.
Exactly.
Because
I think you and I.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you and I both kind of have that personality where we're for me, if I do turn off and disengage from it, I know it's happening and it doesn't stop it from happening, and the other people are suffering because of it. So I'm someone who just can't quite sit by and know that that's happening and be okay with it. And I like to, especially with this kind of stuff, surrounding this kind of stuff, I like to help where I can. Because I think even early on when this stuff was starting up, and we obviously created that safe space on Facebook, the Quarter group, where we could all chat and support each other. And there was also just other little things coming up that people were posting, being like, hey, I saw these people post this. It feels a bit iffy to me. What does everyone else think about it? And there was a couple of things that popped up that I think there was a dance school that that used some very dodgy imagery on their posters and stuff that was it was not great. And I totally agreed with the person who posted it, and I just couldn't be fine with that. I see that and I go, that's not okay. And it's such an easy fix. Just don't make fun of Asian culture. They were it was using Asian symbolism in a really derogatory way. And I helped her out, and just reached out to see how she's going, and then also reached out to the company to explain why that might not be okay. For me, I see that and I'm that's something that's happening in this world today at an institute with young kids, and they're presenting themselves that way with these, strange Asian symbolism. I was okay, I can't know that exists out there and not do anything. It's so easy to reach out to that company and be like, hey, you probably don't know this, but this is making me feel so uncomfortable as an Asian Australian woman. This is why you probably didn't understand, and then they did take it down and they changed it, and that's end of that.
I think that's also the thing as well. It's not actually the incident that's normally the problem. It's the aftermath. It's how I think people don't realize that. All right, cool, but there's been a racist remark. I'm going to tag my friend in it, just who is of that demographic, just to be like, oh, what do I do? That then becomes our problem, because you know, the amount of times that you know, I've said something, or maybe a white person has said something, but the white person gets applauded for it, and I'm left with the fallout from it, and I'm the one that loses the job, and I'm the one that has to, like, this person can just forget about it, but I'm the one who's then having to deal with it days after, and adding this to my collection of trauma and whatever. So it builds. People don't realize that you know, it's so much emotional labor for us to have to navigate these conversations, because it's not just going, hey, you did something bad. People are like, oh, my bad, I'm really sorry, I'll change that. Cool, great, we don't have to think about it. But if it's like, well, I think you're da 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 da, it becomes gaslighting. It becomes all of these tactics of abuse that, like, you know, if it was in, you know, we wouldn't stand for it if it was in a kind of in any other instance. But when it comes to racism, people don't want to call it what it is.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, and I think in this scenario it was kind of the same. This company that I ended up sending an email to and messages to, like, at first they didn't respond great about it, and it was very defensive, and it was making up excuses and stuff. And then I did have to write a really long essay length email just to go, okay, let's just like break this down, and I'll explain to you why it's not so okay, you know. Meanwhile, I'm talking to like white people who are saying this is why it's fine to use these symbols from Chinese alphabet or Japanese alphabet. And I was like, but you're not even what? Well, like, I was just like, what? Why are we even having this conversation? You don't even use this alphabet. Like, why? Oh, but
we love a bit of white explaining.
It was a very interesting conversation. I was like, what? Yeah, it was very confusing for me. I was like, I don't understand how you got to this point where you are arguing this with me. But I don't know.
What are some of the tactics that you, or techniques that you kind of bring in when all of this stuff is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously was raised with a very Japanese mother who likes to be as polite and understanding as possible. So yeah, whenever I go into these conversations, I always give as much benefit of the doubt as possible. And because yes, maybe this is the first time they're hearing that, you know, exploiting Japanese culture or Chinese culture is wrong, which is insane to me. But look, let's just pretend that that's what the case is. So yeah, like I always try and go in with as much empathy and understanding as possible. And that's why I go into detail explaining these kind of things, because I'm like, okay, maybe you don't know how much this is affecting me. And, you know, so let me explain it to you. So I always try and go in with really understanding and kind language as possible, and to break things down into detail and go, you might have not known this, but this is why this is hurting me. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Like I try and make it let's talk about it and let's get to a midpoint so that we can both understand each other kind of thing. Because otherwise I have noticed, because like when I was a feisty younger teenager and I would get into these heated arguments, I would just go straight for the throat. And that was never, ever, ever helpful. And I would end up getting in fights with people. And then it gets to a point where that person gets so defensive that they don't actually even try to meet you halfway anymore, which I'm sure you've probably experienced as well. But, you know, when you get to that point, there's no point even conversing anymore, because you've cornered someone and scared them, and then they start attacking you. And so you're not getting anywhere with it, and it just becomes more of a fight than a conversation of understanding. So now I always try and approach these things as gently as possible, just to be like, hey, this is like not an attack on you. It's not, you know, I don't want to start a fight, but I just want to maybe explain my point of view of this and why I'm feeling this way. And hopefully that can give you a bit of insight as well. And then hopefully you can see it from my point of view, and we can, you know, come to an agreement about it, you know.
Do you have so much more patience than I do?
Well, look, yeah, I try my best with the patient department. I do, yeah. I mean, it's a lot easier on the internet because you can just like take a breath, walk away, come back, but yeah, look, I'm not perfect either. Like if it's a face-to-face thing, I get a bit frustrated when I get, those comments back that are so not understanding. And yeah, I can get a bit hot-headed, but I like to try as much as I can to be like, okay, just chill, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah.
But I think well, I know from my experience, like I am always on the defense, even though I don't want to be. I am just so prepared. Like I leave the house and I'm like, you hear the statistics of, trans people survival rate. So I've already got like 1 in 10 trans people get, or whatever the statistic is. I'm leaving the house with that in my head. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I've got to watch 1 in 10 people that they're going to kill me. Cool, great.
Yeah, legit.
And people, and it's the same with like being of color, like all of these other things that add on. It like people don't understand that there's that like that anxiety level that's just happening. We don't even realize we're doing it, but that's where I mean, this is where kind of representation kicks in as well. Like, if I try to be as positive as I can be online. I sometimes have my moments of mental health where I'm not feeling great and I do lash out, and I'm a human being and that's absolutely fine. But I really want to be one of those like a positive transport story or a positive of color story, because we're so used to seeing trauma constantly. Like one of the things, obviously we've talked about this a lot, is like consultations. Like the work that you're doing, babe, like you should be getting paid for, and people should be acknowledging that and giving you money, or giving you, it doesn't even have to be a financial thing, but just giving you something in return. I think there's this expectation, and I'm going to be quite blank about this. Sorry, followers or watchers. White people are very entitled without emotional energy. In order for them to be anti-racist or not racist, they feel like it's our job to tell them what to do. When actually we haven't been the ones who have created this racial divide. Like, a lot of us, people of color, are the diaspora in Australia or in the UK or whatever. And to people who are watching, the diaspora basically means like the minority in the populace. So I think there's this expectation that like, we should be doing all of the work because it's for our safety. But as we've said before, like, if we're living in a racist-free environment, it also means that we're going to live in a sexist-free environment and a like sexuality discrimination-free environment, disability discrimination-free environment. It means that we can start looking at these things from a different perspective. But like, we've been having private chats about this, about kind of consultation, and I really just want to check in with you to be like, well, where are you getting your when we talk about like emotional labor, people do not understand that is a resource. Like, when someone's been like, oh, I've got a question, and then you're sitting there at your laptop being like, right, this is what you do. It's taking your time away from what you could be focusing on for your artwork, away from developing your voice, developing your acting skills, or doing shows or producing things. It's also costing you money, your internet, your electricity, and people don't realize that they're actually taking things from you when they ask these questions. And I want people to really understand that that's what is happening. It's not, for us having to do this sort of work, it's a necessity. It's not we're just choosing to do it because we don't want to do, we don't want to be better at outperforming, or we don't want to produce work. It's because we can't, because we're being held back by these bloody questions being asked constantly.
Yeah, exactly. It is, like I said before, like it is our life, so we have no choice. We have to do that. Otherwise, like, what's the alternative? You get steamrolled, basically.
But how do you set boundaries?
I don't know yet, because like I said, I'm someone who's just like, I'll give it all, so this is something I need to work on myself as well and decide for myself so that I don't get put on the spot. But yeah, I mean, like we had that chat a little while ago where someone approached me with creating a new work and wanted to sign me on as a consultant. And I think like when we had a chat about that, obviously I've never been approached with stuff like that before on a professional level. So immediately I talked to you and I said, like, how do you do it? Like, what do you do? And I felt kind of, I wasn't sure about the project at first. I didn't know enough about it. So I stuck my neck out there and I was like, hey, to the director, I was like, can we meet and chat about it, like over Zoom? Just because, you know, like I am currently going through all of this traumatic stuff at the moment, / I don't know enough about this, so I don't want to sign myself onto it. And he was so open to it and he was like, absolutely, yes, let's chat. And you know, the chat went so well, and he was so open to sharing all of his ideas and all his plans for the project as well. So I think that was luckily a really good first taste of that world, that it went so smoothly. But yes, it is definitely something I'm going to need to find a way to measure a bit more, because yes, I am someone that's like, if someone needs something and comes to me with a request, I'm like, yes, I will give you 1000% of my energy and my time, and I will put in all of the work, which is fine, but it's also like a bit detrimental to me because I'm not actually considering if I can do that. I'm just doing it, you know? So yeah, I don't know what the answer to that is yet. And I love that you've brought it up because it is something I need to think about.
But it's also something that we have to do as artists, as actresses, as singers or actors or whatever, however you want to gender it. Like we are continually expected to work for free. Even though it's not always asked, there is always an expectation that we have to give everything. Like, you know, when you're doing your auditions, you have to give everything. You have to give it all. When you're in the workroom, when you're, you know, going through these ideas, you have to give everything, like all of your experiences. There's not enough safeguarding or respect of what that actually is. So, I mean, I'm not a big like person where it's like money. Like it doesn't have to be a financial reward, but there always has to be something. It's an exchange. It's not just like, I'm going to give you all my life experience and then you're going to use this and you're going to tick the boxes of your demographics and this and that. But I've not come away with anything. And that can come in the way of opportunities, but not exposure. I won't go down too far. Well, we can expand on this in the little VIP section, actually. How about that?
Yeah. Yes, let's do it.
I'm realizing that we've hit the half-hour mark. But yeah, that's the thing. Well, you and I had a chat on, was it Wednesday, for BU, and it was just meant to be 15 minutes, and we went on for like an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Oh, lordy lord.
On that note, is there anything that you want to plug, or if you've got any upcoming shows or performances?
All those shows and performances that I've got coming up, yeah. Look, hopefully in about 6 years, when this pandemic is over, I'll be back on stage at some point. But unfortunately, alas, no, I do not get to step on a stage like most performers at the moment. Yeah, I don't have anything to plug at the moment. It's all just like stuff I'm working on, stuff I'm writing and trying to produce, but none of it's ready to show just yet.
Well, the great thing is people could just follow you on Instagram and keep up to date. You're also part of the People of Cabaret as well, so people should follow us and make sure that you keep an eye out for all the fabulous work that Kaori's just didn't prefer them. That Kaori
than me.
Losing my steam. Right, thank you. We're going to move back into the green room, but I'll come and chat to you in a sec. But thank you so much for coming on this episode this week. It's an absolute pleasure, and I love you.
Thank you for asking me. It's been great. Thank you.
See you in a sec. Oh my God, I absolutely love Kaori. As I said, she's a pleasure to work with. So bright, so gregarious. She's amazing. And yeah, follow her on Instagram, on all the socials. Thank you so much for being part of this journey today, for watching. unfortunately, we didn't have anyone use the hashtag I give myself. So let's try again for next week. If you take a picture or a video or write a status either on Instagram or Facebook, just letting me know what you've been doing for your self-care this week. So hashtag I give myself time, I give myself space, I give myself love. Maybe you can take a picture of your bedroom that you just tidied, or I'm trying to think of things, or a meal that you've cooked. If you tag me in that, depending how much joy it brings me, and I'm sure it's going to bring me all the joy in the world, I'll be selecting someone who will get a little present in the post from me. I want to thank you for watching today. I'm really grateful of you giving me your energy and your time, and I'm happy to have given you this space and mine and Kaori's experiences. I want to thank Antipodes Theatre Company for facilitating this wonderful journey, particularly to Brandon and Melissa and Chloe Towan, who did the fabulous graphics, and to my boyfriend, happy birthday, Greg, for the beautiful photograph of me. And I would like to thank myself because I am amazing and I am working really hard. So I want you to say this with me as well. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am amazing. And if you can't say it now, you can say it later on in the week. Just give yourself that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Outro music.